You know that feeling, right? The world just never stops. So in the middle of all that chaos, how do we find our center? How do we find a little bit of harmony when everything and everyone is telling us to go faster, faster, faster? Well, together, we're going to explore just that. What it means to align our fast-paced minds with our centered souls. And this idea right here from Dr. Quidkovic, this is going to be our North Star for this whole explainer. It's such a powerful way to look at things, right? Shifting from a frantic, breathless sprint to, well, a graceful, present dance. But to really appreciate the beauty of the dance, first, we've got to admit we're in a race.
And that pressure, it starts the second our eyes open. An email dings, a text message pops up, and the expectation is always the same. Immediate. Now.
Then there's the online world. The algorithm is always hungry, isn't it? It demands constant updates, constant performance, a constant broadcast of our lives, whether we feel like it or not.
And if just keeping up with today wasn't enough, we're constantly being told we have to be strategizing for a future that hasn't even happened yet. Reply, post, plan. It's a rhythm for sure, but it's the relentless rhythm of a race.
So what does all of this add up to? Well, it brings us right to the heart of the problem. A world that is absolutely obsessed with speed, often at the cost of purpose. Sure, we're moving fast, but do we even know why we're in such a rush?
And look, this isn't some big abstract concept. It shows up in the little moments of our lives. I mean, think about it. You're eating breakfast, but you're really just scrolling through your phone. You don't even taste the food. Or you're flipping through social media, and instead of feeling connected, you just feel kind of empty. We are so productive, checking things off our to-do lists. But at the end of the day, do we feel any closer to the person we actually want to be? It's this quiet, nagging feeling that in all our rushing around, something really important is being left behind.
And this all leads to that one huge question we eventually have to ask ourselves. We have to pause and just be honest. Is this constant motion, this speed without any real direction, is this really the life I want?
So if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, to find an answer, let's kind of step back in time a little bit. This section is all about a story that shows how deep, meaningful work is often found not in speed, but in patience.
So the author shares this amazing story from his childhood. We're talking about a time before Google, before Wikipedia, before you could get any answer in half a second. A time when finding information wasn't just a search query, it was a physical journey.
Just look at what it took to write a simple school paper back then. A whole week, 7 days, spent in the library, physically digging through more than 20 books. No search function, just reading. And when he found something good, he copied it down by hand into a notebook. Then he spent another 4 days at home just with his notes, thinking, connecting the dots, and carefully writing the paper. The whole thing was an 11-day commitment.
But here's what's so cool about this story. It's not just about the work. It's about the whole experience. The smell of old paper and dust, that unique silence you only find in a library. It wasn't just quiet, it was a feeling of presence, of focus.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. No copy-paste, no scanning, no save as. The work demanded his complete attention, his physical effort, his entire being. It wasn't just about thinking, it was about doing something with every part of himself.
And that's where this whole story clicks into place with a much bigger idea. That kind of deep focus, that patience to just stay with a slow, deliberate process, that's a form of spirituality too. It's about being fully present with something that actually takes time.
Okay, so let's recap. The problem is speed without meaning. The antidote seems to be patience and presence. So, how do we actually find our own direction in the middle of all this? We start by finding our inner compass. In other words, our core values.
Okay, this is a really important distinction we gotta make because we mix these up all the time. A goal is something external you want to achieve, like I want to get a promotion or I want to buy a new car. A value, on the other hand, is the internal why behind the goal. Maybe you want that promotion not just for the title, but for the feeling of security it brings. Or maybe you want the car for the sense of freedom. Security, freedom, compassion, those are the values. They're your compass.
So how do you actually figure out what your values are? Well, here's a super simple 3-step process to get you started. It's all about looking inward. First, just ask yourself, when in my life did I feel the most alive, the most fulfilled? What was I doing? Next, think about actions you've taken that make you feel genuinely proud of yourself. What was driving you? And finally, Think back to a really tough decision. What was the principle that ultimately guided you? The answers to these questions, they point right to your core values.
All right, so once you have an idea of your values, you can't just, write them down and forget them. The next step is all about bringing them to life. This section is the practical part. It's about training your presence and actually living those values, day in and day out.
And I love this way of thinking about it. Your values aren't just some mission statement you declare, right? They're more like a muscle, and you build that muscle through practice, through the thousands of tiny everyday choices you make from the moment you wake up. It's an active, daily training.
And you know what the simplest, most powerful tool for this training is? It's your own breath. Seriously, conscious breathing is like an anchor. It pulls you out of the crazy storm of your thoughts and drops you right into the present moment. And it's in that quiet, present moment that you can actually hear what your values are telling you.
And the practice itself? It couldn't be simpler. It's just this, a full inhale, as if you're receiving life, accepting the moment exactly as it is. And then a full exhale, letting go of all the stress, the rush, the noise, everything that isn't serving you. Inhale life, exhale noise. That's it.
Now, this is how you take all of this and make it super practical. Before you make a decision, doesn't matter if it's big or small, just pause and run through these questions. First, is this decision aligned with my values? That's your integrity check. Second, does this support my inner peace? That's for your own well-being. And third, what impact will this have on me, on others, and on the world around me? Using a simple checklist like this can totally shift how you make choices, from just reacting to being truly conscious and aligned.
Okay, so let's put it all together. We've talked about the problem, this crazy race we're all in. We've found our inner compass, our values, and we've got the tools to actually practice living them. And all of this brings us to the end goal, a fundamental shift in how we approach life itself.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with that beautiful idea. Life isn't about getting to some finish line as fast as you can. It's about being present for each step, for each movement, for each breath. It's about finding your rhythm and enjoying the grace of the here and now.
And maybe this is the most powerful takeaway from this whole thing. This shift from a race to a dance isn't some far-off destination you have to struggle to reach. It doesn't require some massive life change tomorrow. The dance begins with the very next conscious breath you choose to take, right here, right now.